Hello everyone, I Professor Pardeshi AR. Today we are going to discuss about the third chapter of Environmental Engineering second, that is Theory and Design of Treatment Unit. In last lecture we had discussed about the activated sludge process and their advantages and disadvantages. Also sludge volume index, sludge bulking and modification in activated sludge process. Today here we are going to discuss about the trickling filter, that is the secondary treatment unit. Okay, so trickling filter is an attached growth process, that is the process in which the microorganisms responsible for the treatment and are attached to an inert packaging material. That means in this system the decomposition or oxidation of organic matter is totally done by the microorganisms like bacteria, fungi, algae, etc. The objective of trickling filter is nothing but to coagulate and remove the settleable colloidal solid to form the stabilize the organic matter. That means by the help of our microorganism we have to oxidize or decompose the organic matter and to form the stable effluent from the sewage or from the wastewater. The biological principle of the trickling filter. First of all, trickling filter consists of filtered media, wastewater distribution system, inlet pipe and wastewater collection system, in which a trickling filter or a biofilter consists of a basin or a tower which is filled with support media such as stones, pebbles, plastic sheets and wooden slates. This is the diagram which shows the trickling filter unit in between primary settling and final settling tank. Okay, in trickling filter, the wastewater from the plain sedimentation tank is spread over the filter media like pebbles, in which produce the biological slimes which coating the surface. That means the small layer thin film are formed around the filter media, and this film contain bacteria, protozoa and fungi which is feeding on the waste organics are seen in the film. Okay, and this film is very thin in a layer, and in which the biological layer of aerobic at the top and anaerobic at the bottom, the decomposition is occurs due to the availability of oxygen at the surface or at the top of the layer. The aerobic decomposition is occurs, and at the bottom of the layer anaerobic decomposition is occurs. This is depends upon the availability of the oxygen content. This is diagram which shows the trickling filter. Okay, the working of trickling filter is nothing but in the sewage is spread over the trickling filter media which is not disintegrable. That means the decay or a decomposition of trickling filter media is not easily. So that type of trickling filter media we have to use for this process. The filtered waste is collected through the under drainage system and it is oxidized under the aerobic condition, then which the biofilm is found around the trickling filter media. Okay, and this film having the very thin layer which consists of the fungi, algae, protozoa and bacteria, which are totally responsible for the oxidation or the decomposition of the wastewater from which they are utilized the oxygen in an aerobic condition, and in the absence of oxygen there is a anaerobic digestion is occurs. The advantages of trickling filter is nothing but it is a cheap and economical in operation, it having the higher loading, and it is self-cleaning filter is there, and the wear and tear, that is the losses in a trickling filter are very less as compared to the other filter. And disadvantages of trickling filter are nothing but it requires the larger space and its construction cost is very high as compared to the other treatment units, and head losses are occurs in a trickling filter, and it found the odor and fly nuisance is there, it create a bad odor in that particular area due to the fly nuisance and foul gases. So next point is nothing but the types of the trickling filters. Okay, in that first one type is nothing but the low rate filters. Okay, that means it has standard rate of the hydraulic and organic loading in which the constructed in a circular and a rectangular form. Okay, this type of the low filter is constructed in a circular and rectangular shape, and media used for this low rate filter is nothing but the crushed stone clinkers which are not disintegrable, and the size of this trickling filter media is vary between the 3 centimeter to the 8 centimeter. The depth from the surface of the trickling filter is nothing but about 1.8 to 2.4 meter, and the retention time for which we have to stay or put the sewage in the trickling unit, that is the 3 to 10 minutes. Okay, and it having the hydraulic loading is near about 1 to 4 meter cube per day per meter square, and the organic loading is about 80 to 320 gram per BOD per meters cube per day. This all about the low rate trickling filter. So next type is nothing but the high rate trickling filter, which having the two stage of the trickling filter. Okay, the hydraulic loading of the high rate trickling filter is about 10 to 30 meter cube per day per meter square, as well as the organic loading is nothing but 500 to 1000 gram of BOD per meter square per day. Okay, in first or in a single stage there is a recirculation is not provided, but in a second stage recirculation is provided. Okay, and it consists of the two filters in a second stage. So this is the diagram or graphical representation of the single stage trickling filter and two stage trickling filter. In two stage trickling filter, they are arranged in a parallel series. There is more than one trickling filters are arranged. Okay, next point is nothing but the difference between low rate and high rate trickling filter. It's very important to distinguish between the low rate and high rate trickling filter. In that first one is nothing but in a low rate trickling filter, the operational cost is very more as compared to the high rate trickling filter. The second point in a low rate is nothing but the interval of dosing. Okay, the interval of dosing, it should not be more than 5 minutes, but in a high rate trickling filter it should not be more than 15 minutes. Okay, in a low rate trickling filter recirculation is not provided, while in a high rate trickling filter recirculation is provided. Slugging is intermediate, while in a high rate trickling filter slugging is continuous. Okay. Next point, in a low rate trickling filter, the BOD removal efficiency is near about 75 to 85%, while in a high rate trickling filter it is about 70 to 85%. The temperature coefficient is 1.02 to 1.06 for the low rate, and it is 0.1, 0.02 to 1.04 for the high rate trickling filter. The effluent, that is the byproduct, is a highly nitrified, and in a high rate trickling filter it is not fully nitrified. Okay, and the low rate trickling filter required more area of land as compared to the high rate trickling filter. The secondary sludge is highly oxidized in a low rate trickling filter, while in a high rate trickling filter the secondary sludge is not fully oxidized or not fully decomposed. Next point, in a low rate trickling filter is nothing but the depth of the media is near about 1.8 meter to 3 meter from the surface of the trickling filter, but in a high rate trickling filter is about 0.9 to 2.5 meter. The hydraulic loading in a low rate is near about 1 to 4 meter cube per day per meter square, while in a high rate trickling filter it is about 10 to 30 meter cube per day per meter square. The organic loading in a low rate trickling filter is about 80 to 320 BOD in a gram per day per meter square, and it is 500 to 1000 BOD gram per day per meter square in a high rate trickling filter. If it is having the high nitrified when the BOD is less than 20 mg per liter for the low rate trickling filter, and we call that it is not fully nitrified having the BOD is greater than 30 mg per liter. That's all about the low rate trickling filter and high rate trickling filter. This is the major difference between these two filters. So next point is nothing but the rotating biological contractors, that is the RBC. Okay, this is another treatment unit which is totally responsible for the biological treatment for the sewage or wastewater, which is utilized for removing the various pollutant from the sewage. Okay, and the wastewater is allowed to contact with the biological medium. Okay, in which the RCB content consists of the series of closely spaced parallel discs mounted on a rotating drum. Okay, in which the sewage is thoroughly passed on this drum, and from which it is oxidized or decomposed by the microorganism like bacteria, protozoa, algae, etc. So next point is nothing but the treatability index. It is very important and it is developed to allow the comparison on the various reservoir water according to their effect on a water treatment unit. Okay, it is very essential to know the treatability index of the reservoir for the further treatment in a water treatment plant, and it gives the clear guidelines to treat the water in a particular way, how much treatment units are required for the treating that water from the corresponding reservoir, and it gives the quick overview of the reservoir conditions. Okay, from the treatability index we can find out the quality of that particular reservoir water condition, and it is utilized for the either water is potable or for the usable for the drinking purpose or not. That's why treatability index, it is very important. Okay, that's it for today. Next part will continue in a next lecture. So thank you.